Hi Danish learner, welcome back to my channel Danish Matters. I'm Tina Baga, your Danish friend and tutor. Today it's about Danish culture and about the Law of Jante, Janteloven. Before we get started, I would like to remind you that if you would like a Danish course with me, that is for the Danish language, you could write to tina@danishmatters.dk. So Janteloven is not really a real law. It was sort of a 10-sentenced list of rules in a book from 1933 by Axel Sandemose, who was actually half Norwegian, half Danish, and the first version of the book was in Norwegian. So it was called En flygtning krydser sit spor. I'm saying that in Danish, but it was, of course, in Norwegian to begin with. Later on, we had it in Danish. And it pictures this, or it portrays this fictional small town of Jante. And it is said to be the hometown of the author, actually. But it's fictional in the book. And in the book, these people are supposed to live according to certain rules. And they are listed in 10 sort of commandments, not biblical commandments, but it's sort of, it rings a bit to that. So there are 10 different ones, and Danes mostly only know the first one. I'm going to read them to you because this is part of Danish culture. In Danish and in English it goes, Du skal ikke tro, du er noget. You're not to think that you're anything special. Number 2, du skal ikke tro, at du er lige så meget som os. You're not to think that you're as good as we are. Number 3, du skal ikke tro, at du er klogere end os. You're not to think that you're smarter than we are. Number 4, du skal ikke bilde dig ind, at du er bedre end os. You're not to imagine yourself better than we are. Du skal ikke tro, this is number 5, du skal ikke tro, du ved mere end os. You're not to think that you know more than we do. Number 6, du skal ikke tro, at du er mere end os. You're not to think you are more important than we are. Number 7, du skal ikke tro, at du dur til noget. You're not to think that you're good at anything. Number 8, du skal ikke le af os. You're not to laugh at us. And le is a bit old-fashioned. Today we would say grine mostly instead. Yeah, to laugh. You're not to laugh at us. Number 9, du skal ikke tro, at nogen bryder sig om dig. You're not to think that anyone cares about you. And number 10, du skal ikke tro, at du kan lære os noget. You're not to think that you can teach us anything. Yeah, welcome to Denmark. These are 10 sort of rules that these people within this fictional town Jante were supposed to live by. And this book became very popular, and its rules are sort of ingrained in the Danish society. This means that, of course, the way of living and the way of thinking was there before. And then Axel Sandemose wrote this book when these 10 commandments, these 10 rules, they have sort of been ingrained in Danish society, excuse me, for a while, yeah? Because otherwise there wouldn't really be a sort of recognition to all of this for his readers. So they had been there for some time, and I will say that they still exist within the Danish society. They are still here. We all know Janteloven. We know that it's here. We know the name. Most of us know just the first one. Some of us know a little more of the 10 rules. But of course, we're not proud of it. We're not proud of this said law. That is unwritten law, as we would say, uskrevne regler. But they do exist in our culture. And I don't know if you have ever experienced talking to a Dane and going, oh, you know what, I just got a raise, or I just got a bonus, or I just got this high grade on my exam, or I'm so happy I got this house, this car, this trip somewhere in the world, something like that. Have you ever experienced saying things like that and the Danes going, oh, okay, nice. And then they talk about something else. This might be due to the law of Jante, Janteloven, because we have been taught through time that we're not supposed to brag, we're not supposed to think that we're anything better than others, and then we impose that on other people, we project that onto other people. Then you're not supposed to think that you're anything special or that you have done anything in particular worth talking about or bragging about. It really does exist, and we use it ourselves. I, for my part, have experienced that someone asked me about my educational background. It was not anything like a job interview. It was just in private, relaxed, nothing professional. And I knew that that other person was lower educated, less educated than I was. And I found myself, and now you cannot see me, but I was sort of literally stepping on my own toes. We were standing up and making myself smaller. And I would say, and I would translate in a minute, ja, jeg uddannet i, jeg kan med i fransk og kulturformidling. Ja. Yeah, meaning I'm educated and I have a master's in French and cultural journalism. But I was stepping on my toes, as I said. I was making myself smaller and I was looking down and away because I didn't want the other person to feel bad. I didn't want to think that I was anything special, that I was more than that other person, because my culture tells me, according to my culture, I'm not supposed to. This is still in the Danish culture. I have an example from a student of mine who was living with a Danish family, and at one day, the mother of the family, the host mother, had made a really nice dinner. She spent a lot of time in the kitchen making a wonderful, wonderful, superb dinner, and the student was thanking her for the lovely dinner afterwards. And the mother was like, yeah, det var bare nogle kartofler. Yeah, that was just some potatoes. Because we're not supposed to make anything big out of ourselves. It's still here. I do find that in the bigger cities, Copenhagen, Aarhus, and so on, it's not as bad because they are also center of finances and ambition, and we work with a lot of other cultures that have an influence on us. So I think we're getting better. We are learning that we can say that we're good at something, or that we just achieved something, or that we just got something that we're happy for, without it being that bad nowadays. But if you go outside of the bigger cities, if you go on the outskirts and way into the countryside, I don't think this would be well received. You are supposed to make yourself smaller. You're supposed to not make anything special out of you and your accomplishments, or things that you're happy for that you have gotten or that you have achieved in some way. So Janteloven is probably changing a little bit here and there in Denmark, and maybe in time entirely. But I think it's going to take a long time before it disappears completely. It is definitely ingrained in our culture. And as I said, we are not proud of it, but it's still here. And even though we fight it, for those of us who do that, I'm one of them, I still fall prey to it sometimes. I don't like it, but I have to admit that I do. We could learn something from the Americans that would say, good on you and good for you. We can say it. I know that in American English it can also be negative, like, oh, good for you. I know. But they also say it when they mean it and when it is positive. I think we can learn from that, making each other grow and praising each other and making others shine, and just in general being happy for one another when we achieve something. Either it's financially or personally, or it's a concrete thing, material thing, or more abstract. Yeah, we can learn from that. So please teach us. Teach us what to do and how to do it. Yeah. But at least you should know it is still here. So if you want to sort of assimilate into the Danish culture, I really don't like that word, because I think that we should be proud of the one that we come from. And we should be able to have that as well as learn the Danish culture, or at least learn about the Danish culture. Just know that it might not be that well received if you talk a lot about your endeavors and your ambition and your achievements. Yeah. So I hope that I haven't disencouraged you completely from living in Denmark. Once you get to know the Danes, that can take a while, I know, but once you get to know us, we are warm-hearted people, and once you are within our circles, we don't let go of you that easily. So I hope you got something out of this video. Please like and subscribe, and if this is you watching my Danish tradition video course, then tell your friends and family about this series as well. Thank you so much. And I just got left to say, because I am also a Danish teacher, right? Happy Danish learning.